Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only podcast that, like the Cardinals, surely can't keep this up. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
What is up, Nate H?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Got it in one there, Hambone. How you doing today? You doing okay?
I'm doing fantastic, Nathan. The sun is out. The weather is happening. Life is good. The Cardinals are winning. I feel youthful, strong.
Wow.
Nubile.
Well, you don't look it, but I'm glad you feel it, so that's good.
You don't look at me. You don't think I look?
Yeah, the shadow cast across your face. We got to get you. You gave me so much shit for having like a dark. I got lights. I got everything. Look at me illuminated. White as the sun.
Yeah.
And you're in this shadow. I can't even tell. Your little mustache.
Natural light, baby. I don't know what you
it's
want.
On one,
I think this
you got a real Harvey Dent going.
Two-Face?
Yeah.
Okay.
But both sides are the shitty side.
So just a bad face.
Just a bad face.
Okay. That's good. That makes a lot of sense.
Hambo, we are competing separately, but in the same event essentially this weekend. After a rain delay here in STL, the Cardinals 5K is happening this Saturday. And you are participating in the Rockies 5K, assuming you wake up in time. How are you feeling about it?
Not fantastic. I have not been running recently. I've basically taken like almost 2 months off since doing the half marathon. I think I've ran one time. I think I'm gonna run today to kind of get the loosen the old or get the cobwebs out or whatever. And just pray to God and see what happens on Saturday. But I'm going to take her nice and easy. I'm kind of looking at this as my all right, I'm going to get back into running now. I took my time off. I'm feeling excited because I know that I'm going to get a snow cone and an ice cold Coors Light after the race. Sure. And I'm going to get to hang out with Dinger, who's, arguably the greatest mascot of all time.
I'd say inarguable, honestly.
I would say there maybe a luminary of our generation is Dinger.
Mm-hmm. Praise be,
because he's about our
Dinger.
age. Hail Dinger. But yeah, so I'm going
about
for
our age. Dinger's a millennial, huh?
He is.
He's very comfortable.
I'm going to wear
technology.
I'm going to wear my Blackman jersey and and let it rip. That's about all I got though. And then we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not expecting glory, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
I assume they do the same, but this is all basically the same event at every stadium. But do you get to go out on the field and all that after?
Yeah, the final section of the path is like around the warning track, and Dinger's out there spinning his head around, and whatever, and so that's fun. And then the kind of after party or whatever you want to call it, it takes place in like the bleachers and the concourse. And they, like I said, they're handing out beers and stuff like that, bananas, whatever.
Do you think it's hard to improve on perfection with Dinger, but do you think Dinger would be improved if he would implement Fredbird's dry humping that he's so fond of?
So I think, obviously Fredbird has that, and I don't think you can just... You say it so flippantly, like, oh, well, why don't you just start dry humping? But it's not that easy, Nate. This is years of practice. That's
a good point.
And this is technique. And Dinger's got the head spin. And I think, the same thing to I don't think Fredbird could just start head spinning tomorrow. He'd probably break his neck. Yeah. And I don't think Dinger could start dry humping. So I think you're kind of being a little laissez-faire about this whole thing.
I really don't mean to disrespect Fredbird's years of experience assaulting children and fans alike.
It's a belly bump. I mean, come on now. It's a belly bump, right? It's not. Fredbird doesn't have a crotch or genitalia. Like it's a belly bump.
Well, I think it is intended to be a belly bump, but it certainly appears otherwise most of the time. At least I don't know.
I've never seen a bird dick before, so I don't know
Well,
what you're seeing that I'm not seeing.
It's the cloaca, my dear boy. It's actually pretty unfortunate that they designed that into the Fredbird costume.
Yeah. Also weird that who's that for? I've never seen it, so it's obviously for one weirdo.
Ding.
You. Yikes. Check, please.
I think I've told this story on the pod before, but whenever we talk about Fredbird, I just think this is so funny. Molly, my wife, hates Fredbird, and
Sure.
for a number of reasons, but one of them specifically is that she worked at a fast-paced wedding event space for a little while, and in those kitchens it's mayhem. It's fast. There's people everywhere. Everyone's got a job to do, right? They're serving for hundreds. And she was working back there, and the particular bride and groom were huge Cardinal fans, so they invited Fredbird to be a part of the wedding or part of the reception, which is fun, whatever. But Fredbird, like, they didn't want him out there until a certain time, so they just had him staying like back in the back area, kitchen area, and apparently the person or Fredbird themselves doesn't know time and space and when to turn it on and turn it off, and was just running around in the back of house at this kitchen amongst a bunch of people just trying to do their jobs, and was doing the entire Fredbird shtick, going around dry humping and putting the beak over the head of like someone at a grill. It was just like deeply obnoxious, and it made everybody mad. And I kind of love the commitment to someone's craft, but at the same time, like, what an obnoxious situation to be in.
I guess I understand that, but it's what the bride wanted, Nate, and you got to do what the bride wants.
I want you in there getting like roughage from your uniform all over, food being burnt because the chef had their head stuck in a giant beak.
For all you know, that was specifically requested by the wedding party.
Just get in there and fuck it up a little bit.
Yeah, do that classic Fredbird thing.
Yeah,
is Fredbird good? Is that a good name?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Fredbird
it's
the Redbird.
I like Fredbird. It's easy to make fun of him. I've been kind of riffing on him this whole time, but he's fine as far as mascots go. I mean, it's a good costume, and the jersey looks nice. So, I mean, what else are you gonna do? Honestly, I guess you could maybe change the name, but Fredbird the Redbird is about as good as I could come up with. It's kind of exactly what I would probably come up with. So, I don't know.
Did you know that the Nuggets have the highest paid mascot in American sports?
No, what is it? What is a nugget? Is it
the mascot? His name is Rocky, and he's like a mountain lion.
That's but not he does nugget.
Like. No, it's not. It's not a nugget. You are dead on. And the Avalanche's mascot is a dog. So go figure that. Rocky he's the highest paid mascot in American sports. I don't know about.
Is he doing flips?
He does crazy shit. Yeah, there was, you Google it. There is a video of him. I think he climbs up like a 40-foot ladder and does a free throw from it.
Okay.
Some crazy shit. But anyways, that's my factoid.
Nugget is Hakeem Olajuwon. Wasn't he a Nugget?
His name isn't Rocky.
Wait, his name is Rocky, not Nugget.
Yeah.
Wait, but Rocky's for the Nuggets and Dingers for the Rockies. What are y'all doing out there?
Mile high, baby.
Get your shit together.
Nah, dog.
All right, one other quick unit of business. We're going to talk more about this next week, but Hambone and I have been invited once again to the Cardinals Blogger Day. Blogger and Podcaster Day, which is a really cool event. The Cardinals bring out a bunch of people in sort of the fan network space and wine us and dine us with unlimited hot cheese, and we get like an hour.
Bud Selects.
Yep. About an hour of pretty candid time with John Mozeliak. Last year was our first time. So I think, this year we're, really looking forward to it. So Ben's coming in for it. It's June 7th. So next weekend. This weekend is the race, and then the following will be that. So we'll talk about it more next week, what we're planning. But I don't know if y'all out there have an idea for something that you would like us to ask. Let's say, I guess, let us know. Yeah. So let's talk about your St. Louis Cardinals. Hambone, how you feeling right now?
Strong, Nathan. I think we had one loss since the last time you and I chatted.
Yeah.
The team looks good. Even when the team isn't totally slugging their faces off, they are getting on base at a super high clip. They're looking like a very strong baseball team, or at least they're finding ways to win.
Yeah.
Every day the season goes on and the Cardinals are sitting, I think, 10 games above 500 right now. It becomes more and more real. And that's a lot of fun. I'm expecting them to win most games. When I'm watching, I'm expecting them to do something to win.
Yes, it has been. There's 7 games above 500 right now. Not to be pedantic, but I was like, I don't think they're 10 yet. So, yeah, I totally.
Yeah. What am I?
I totally agree with you as far as the vibe. And we're starting to hear we'll talk about it here in a minute, but we're starting to hear some reporting too from like inside the clubhouse, the total vibe shift, and rightfully so. I think I always try to present myself in this show as an optimistic fan show, right? Like we're here to have fun. We're here to support the team. But the reality is that after 2 really rough years, I've probably been slower than maybe some to like come back around and say, I'm ready to say this is a good team. I've been having a great time. I'm not watching these things pessimistically, but like broadly speaking about the team and where I see this going, I've been pretty slow to accept that this might be a good team. And I got to say, man, after that sweep of the Diamondbacks, I'm feeling like it's a good team. Now, where it's going to end, it's a tough NL. The Cubs, I think, are good, are really good, maybe. But the Cardinals right now are tied for a wild card spot, which I don't think we saw coming at all. Even if we thought the Cardinals might be good this year, the wild card just seemed out of the picture. But Diamondbacks are maybe struggling a little bit. We just swept them. Braves are certainly coming back around. There's a lot of baseball left, but they have some holes. I don't know. Maybe there's 2 paths to playoffs for this team. And we'll talk about like trade deadline and all that a little bit. We're going to start increasing our conversation around that. But I'm feeling pretty positive about this team. There's underlying numbers that back it all up. And you spelled it out a week or 2 ago that the defense is maybe the best in baseball, maybe by a lot. And that is a sustainable metric that like I don't see going anywhere. If anything, maybe improving as some of these guys continue to get more and more comfortable, like your Victor Scotts and even a Jordan Walker. So feeling pretty good about it. Let's get into some of the news. So first, we really should have gone into this right at the top, Hambone, but I am disappointed in Cardinal fans, And here's why. Our beloved third baseman, Nolan Arenado, he puts his body on the line. We've seen it time and time again. And no single fan was willing to throw their child in between his massive muscular body, flinging itself onto those seats. We needed a child there to break that fall, so that Arenado didn't have that scary 3 or 4 minutes where we all thought maybe he had exploded one of his kidneys. I need Cardinal fans to be better. So if you're out there and you have your kid, when the Cardinals are on defense, I need your head on a swivel. Okay? I need you ready.
Not only did no one throw their kid in under the line of fire, but if you watch that replay of Nolan making that spectacular play, you see a guy actually pull his kid to the side out of the way.
Unacceptable. You need to be like that dad from the last one who seems to prioritize self-preservation in the moment of when their child is in danger.
I think everything you're saying is accurate. Man up. Kids are made of rubber. They'll bounce back, and you can always make a new one if it's broken beyond repair. So you figure that part out, parents. But I think we need to reinforce these fences. Like, why is Nolan? I know he's a big, heavy guy, but like, we should. It should be more taught. It should be Nolan proof. He should be springing off these and landing on a pillow or something like this.
Some
I
sort
find
of
this silly.
Yeah, some sort of increased resistance there to at least slow him down a little bit. I mean, it's tricky because you kind of want those plays where they're like, wow, and they're leaning in and all that. But also, when I thought he had exploded one of his kidneys on live television, I thought, well, maybe there's a way that could have been avoided.
So you think that the Nets have been engineered so that you can kind of get those plays where the guys go, whoa? That's what you think was purposely designed for?
I'm saying if you completely restrict it, that is, maybe something that would be lost.
I'm not saying put a brick wall up. I'm just saying get that tighten that thing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Nolan Arenado costs more than that entire fencing system. So let's reinforce it a bit. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I love that he tried to throw the ball into. At first I thought that's where the injury might have come from. Is that like awkward throw from basically sitting in that seat? Fortunately, I mean, it turned out he was just a bit of a stinger when you get a.
Yeah, I think he said he got the wind knocked out of him. So that if you've ever had that happen, it really, really sucks.
It's a bad feeling.
Why he was doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really bad feeling. So anyway, we need fine, Ben, fine. One of two solutions: better fencing, constant group of children. I don't care which one you do. But one of those two things needs to happen.
I think you tighten up the fence and then you put like a Cardinals caravan or Cardinals care or whatever the organization is. You give them priority seats along the third baseline and just hit them both.
Yeah, that makes sense. Were you surprised, as I was, and a lot of people, about the rule that was enforced after that?
Yeah. Actually, so I think this rule is very silly. If you did not see this play, so Arenado made this crazy catch. He went, his momentum took him into the fence as he just barely missed a child and was basically like sitting in a seat. He threw the ball to the person covering third base to try to stop the runners from advancing. And it looked like that had worked. Because I think the runners, first off, didn't think he was going to catch it. And then they weren't, they just didn't have enough time to advance. However, what we learned is that Rule 5.09 A1 exists, and that rule, from the rule book states, however, if a fielder, after making a legal catch on the playing surface, steps or falls into any out-of-play area at any point while in possession of the ball, the base runner shall be entitled to advance one base, and the ball shall be dead. I do not understand the purpose of this rule. It almost implies that the outfielder or the defender has an advantage to the situation when they are laying in the stands, and I can't conceive of a scenario to which that would be true.
Thinking about it now, seeing it written out like this, I have a theory. And if there's a listener out there who understands it better and wants to let us know, please do. But it may be a rule to protect the defense, because imagine you catch that ball, you fall into the dugout. If they're allowed to tag up and just have free run, then someone could conceivably score from first or second, even if there's like a bad enough fall. And so they're saying like, well, we'll just award one bag. Everybody gets one bag and you just move up. And that's it. Because otherwise, like if Arenado had fallen on his face and he was like trapped down in there for a minute, they all could have just ran wild, and that would have maybe felt unfair too, as there's like a player bleeding in the stands and everyone's running around. But I guess that happens in baseball sometimes anyways.
That's where I'm coming. Like a player can get. We just saw, who was that player?
Callahan with the Reds.
Callahan, who snapped his forearm in half. Like, you see injuries happening at any time, and I think that like the player, like Nolan Arenado, has the autonomy in that moment to be like, oh, I'm not going to catch this ball because it would throw me into the stands, and I think that the person from second could get to third, or the person on third could get to home. Like, they're making that choice. You make that choice catching any foul ball, right? So, I think that you're probably right. It's like, what if Nolan Arenado goes into the stands, makes a catch, goes in the stands, breaks his neck? We don't want people just circling the bases because that's probably not a great look. but I think that isn't going to happen very often. And it just kind of took away from the like incredible play
It was
and
disappointing
the
that
awareness of it all. Yeah.
yeah, like
Now the Cardinals got out of that situation. I believe a run wasn't scored,
yeah.
but I thought that was a little bit silly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was certainly disappointing in the moment to see like such the effort and all of that. And he did the right thing, stop the runners, and then they just get it anyway off of a technicality. So yeah, I don't know how you fix that.
There's also no way that Arenado is going to make that catch, fall into the stands, and be like, oh, wait, Rule 5.09A1 states that I don't need to throw this ball.
Yeah, they're all like crazy machine people who just like ball, throw, in, catch. It's like, yeah.
I wonder, like, and I don't know the rule book super well. I've never read it or anything like that. Is there specific rules around the new netting and like bouncing off of it and stuff like that? Maybe there should be, or maybe that exists. I guess if you know, hit us up. But
I'm sure there is.
More. Yeah,
there's rules on ground rules on what each part of the stadium qualifies as, whether it's dead or in or whatever it may be. Yeah, but I don't know the specifics on the netting. Go listen to another podcast if you want. All right, let's switch up topics. I kind of mentioned it before, but we're getting some reporting. Derek Gould is saying there's been a vibe switch internally, and maybe maybe they are buyers at the deadline. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, he essentially wrote an article this week saying that the Cardinals front office is, bending on their retooling year or whatever, and specifically thinking about next year. And I think that I kind of stated this a week or two ago. I basically said that, if you are getting a chance to compete, you need to take advantage of that chance to compete. And I think that point has never been illustrated more clearly than the series that the Cardinals just had against the Royals. The Orioles. The Orioles clearly were a team that they dug super deep. They did the Cubs route where they are going to be actively the worst team in baseball. Go and draft all your favorite position players, and then try to build a team around that. And they kind of are getting trapped in this like fallacy of the forever window type thing, where I think that Mikolas, their GM, views their team window as being open forever. So we're never going to go fully in. We're never really going to try for it. We're going to hope that Adley and Gunnar and Holiday and Jordan Westberg and whoever else are all healthy at the same time and performing at the same time, and that we just need a little bit of pitching to get us over the edge. That would have worked for the team last year. If they would have gotten a couple of pitchers last year, they were hitting the shit out of the ball. But then you look this year, it's not all guaranteed. And I think that it's not guaranteed that the Cardinals are going to play baseball at all next year. It's not guaranteed that the Cardinals are going to be good next year, but the team is playing well right now. And I said this in some degree. I think that you have to reward the players for doing what they're doing. I think you have to reward the fans for what we're seeing, especially after the past couple of years. And I don't think that you can bet that J.J. Weatherhold and whoever else is kind of sitting down there and who you think is going to be the next wave is going to be they're going to perform. You're performing right now. I think you have to strike while the iron's hot. I think that you can do that without totally, like taking the rug out from under you for seasons in the future. But there's definitely a way to walk that line and improve this team. And I think the good news about this is I think there are very clear, easy ways to fix this team. I don't think you have to do a Jordan Walker trade or something massive like that to fix this team. I think you can augment the roster without blowing everything up and still feel good about your prospects or your team shape next year.
Yeah, and especially considering you've got a very high-end draft pick coming up too, which is going to help keep that farm stocked, even if you do end up trading a higher-end prospect. And everybody in this starting lineup is under team control for at least 2026, if not much longer. Yep. So you can, if you do believe that this lineup that we have today is mostly what the competitive Cardinal lineup is going to look like for the next handful of years, then you should be pretty comfortable trading from that prospect depth, which they're not the best prospect group in baseball, but there's certainly some valuable pieces that a team would be happy to have. We'll talk about real trade options later. But I did want to shout out Jake Wood, friend of the show. He wrote an article for Viva Alberto's, which is a great fan site, that he's trying to predict the trade deadline and basically predicted that the Cardinals will do what they've done for the last handful of years, which is augment with light improvements at the trade deadline, bullpen arms, things like that, which I think is a very, very reasonable prediction, considering that's what the Cardinals have continued to do. But I am in alignment with you here, which I don't necessarily think there isn't really a version of going all in with this team. But I think you could make some meaningful improvements to the team at the trade deadline and still maintain that core that they've been working on building. So I guess we'll see, but I'll say this, it's fun to have this conversation.
It is fun to have this conversation. And I think, well, yeah, I already said this, but it just keeps getting more real. It seems more likely. And I really hope that Mo and co don't overthink this. I think a lot of GMs, Mikolas, I'll pick on him again. I think a lot of people overthink this. If your team is good, push in. You don't have to tear the whole thing down to push in, but go get a starting pitcher. Go trade for somebody who can be your third starter or something like that. Get a reliever. Get a guy that crushes lefty pitchers. There are the 4, 5, and 6 man on your roster can always be improved. Go do that.
Yeah, lift the floor. And yeah, I do think the clear choice would be a starting pitcher. I mean, I know the pitching has been better than we've expected it to be, but like if you could go and get even a strong number 2 on the market, it would be a significant improvement to this team, especially when you start to map out playoff situations and things like that.
And not to spoil anything that's coming down the line, but we'll talk about Miles Mikolas and need room for improvement a little bit later in the episode. But there's definitely ways you can improve this team right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of the team composition, the Cardinals have recalled Matt Swanson from Memphis and have optioned Chris Roycroft. Just a continuation. I mean, this is just going to be happening all year, right? Yeah. This is how bullpens go. Until you've established yourself as a consistent back of the bullpen type guy, you're probably riding the bus. Even if you're doing okay, you're probably riding the bus, just as arms need to be fresh or matchups. I'm hopeful that the Cardinals, we don't hear this much, but I'm hopeful and assuming that they're kind of looking at like upcoming series and pitch types and who would be effective against certain types of players and things like that, and sort of organizing their bullpen that way. Don't really know, but I assume that's when you see a switch like this where it's like, yeah, I can kind of take either of these guys right now. Makes sense.
And I agree with that generally, but I am definitely like 2 times more excited about Matt Swanson. Swanson than Chris Roycroft right now. And that's, we haven't seen a ton of Swanson, but I think we've seen enough of that slider for me to be like, this is a real major league pitch. And I've seen a little too much of Graceffo getting hit extremely hard, but more importantly, not finding the zone. So I'm, I know this is a tertiary player on the edge of the 26-man roster, but I'm excited about this, and I want to see what Swanson's got. And it's always, he's newer to the org, which is always fun. And I'm buying stock in Swanson in that slider. It's really good, and that fastball's got more life than I expected too.
Yeah. Well, this is the path of somebody, becoming a consistent part of the bullpen too. You got to get the shot, make it work, and then produce. So
for sure.
All right, last one. I think this is kind of fun. You want to break this one down here for us? We're getting a little bit of Rockies vibes here, I guess.
We are. So I got 2 things. There's the people have been complaining about the attendance in the ballpark all year. What is interesting to note is that the D-backs series was the highest attended series of the season so far, averaging 34,000 people a game. But the Cardinals are still thinking about ways to get people in the ballpark more often. And something that they've recently launched, and I'm not trying to carry water for the Cardinals. I just think this is good. And I think Well, I'll just talk about it and we can go from there. The Cardinals have launched $5 Friday nights at the Budweiser Terrace, which is a gathering spot in the upper deck in right field. Fans can purchase $5 hot dogs, $5 draft beers, and $6 margaritas all game long with live music and a DJ kind of playing music, and everybody's hanging out during the game. Obviously, the Rockies have been doing this kind of thing for, I think, as long as I've lived here, 10 plus years. It's a huge hit here. I think I've joked many times that Coors Field is the best bar in Denver.
Yeah.
But $5 to get in, $5 Budweisers. I mean, I think this is great. If I was living in St. Louis, I would be taking advantage of this. Now, Nate and I are sickos. We like to go down and watch the pitches, but I think that, I would get there before, maybe grab a $5 beer and then go to my seat or whatever. But I love that the Cardinals are doing this. I kind of feel like the Cardinals are stodgy as hell when it comes to this kind of thing. So just seeing them think about the fan experience in a way that I think a lot of 2025 fans think about it, I think it's fantastic. And on a cool summer night in St. Louis, who doesn't want to come there and rip a shitload of margaritas and Budweisers for relatively cheap, ballpark prices?
Yeah, I agree 100%. There is certainly a large subset of Cardinal fandom that's like, sit down, watch the game, God damn it, But I don't think that's like the modern game, and the modern fan experience. This is what a lot of people want, and if you're really just trying to get people in the stadium, this is a sort of promotion that I think has some heat behind it. And I was reading the other day, it was like almost every stadium in baseball has some sort of $5 event, and the Cardinals are just sort of like catching up to that. But yeah, I think it's great. Get more people out there, make the stadium a fun place. Not everybody's gonna focus on the game 100% of the time, but it's like up right field terrace, whatever. If
it's a perfect thing to do.
Yeah. Two things can be happening at the same time. You can be watching your game seriously, and a bunch of people can be, big dumb idiots in the right field terrace eating a bunch of hot dogs.
Yeah, we're going to the game for the blogger event. I would love to swing by and check it out. Like we have stuff to do, but I'd love to see it and see what's going on. And I'm just curious. Like I think it's a great idea.
Also, everything is so fucking expensive now that like for some people, this is going to be their only real way of accessing the game and being able to partake in a lot of the things that you think about of going to a live baseball game. Like a $9-10 hot dog. Like some people can't do that, So having this as an option is great.
Go to a game, have a hot dog and 2 beers for $20.
Yeah.
Almost everyone can afford that.
Yeah, what is this? Like that's like 2004. You know what I mean? That's like when you and I would go and get like $4 tickets, get the free soda by saying we were designated drivers.
DDs, we were both designated drivers, even though we came together. And we wouldn't get a beer because we couldn't afford a beer, so we were designated. We weren't even lying.
We weren't
it.
lying. Well, I guess one of us was lying because we weren't driving, but we were committing to not drinking that day.
We were.
Yeah.
Nothing like that fountain Coke at the ballpark.
Oh, we love a fountain Coke, don't we, folks? All right. Let's talk a little bit more about the play. So as we said, the Cardinals sit at 31-24. They are in second place. Can the Cardinals keep it up? Are they the biggest surprise in MLB? Do you think so?
I have been a Cardinals fan for a long time. I have never seen so many articles written about the Cardinals. The Athletic, MLB Trade Rumors, Fangraphs, every publication that I respect and read and think about, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, they're all saying, can the Cardinals keep this up? And I think the Cardinals are the biggest surprise team. I think, the stated goal at the beginning of the year, I think the past 2 years of disappointment, and the only, roster augmentation was Nick Maton, who has turned out to be one of the better relievers in baseball, by the way. Right. A lot of things are going the right way. But, if you look across the as far as positive surprises, obviously, I think the Orioles are probably the biggest negative surprise. But I think the Cardinals are the biggest surprise team in baseball. I'd love to hear arguments for other teams, but I think everybody else was kind of poised for this. You could maybe argue the Giants, although the Giants spent some money. They got Verlander, they got Hooley is back. I think you have to give to the Cardinals, and I think it's kind of fun to be the talk of baseball, the surprise upstarty team, the team that's succeeding on the likes of people like Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar and Ivan Herrera, who are just not household names. It's a lot of fun.
Unless you're in Japan, of course. Nootbaar,
of course, right,
a hero. So it's kind of what every team likes to pretend they are, even if they aren't, which is that like no one thought we could do, like even the Dodgers will be out there being like, we're just out there proving everyone wrong. You're like, what the fuck? No,
it's like not, Mookie Betts, you make $300 million.
Yeah. So, and to be fair to the Cardinals, like, I know the front office has been the one that have been really inconsistent with their messaging about what this year was going to look like and have really failed to pick a lane for years now. And that is, I think despite the good results is still kind of inexcusable, but that's a whole topic for another situation. But the players, to a T, have been saying like, we're better than everyone thinks we're going to be, and we're going to prove it this year. And so far, that has been the case, better than most would expect. We kind of already hit on it, but like almost every underlying number supports the broader team's success. There's certainly some individuals who are perhaps overperforming some metrics, but there are also some that are still underperforming their underlying metrics. From a run differential standpoint, the Cardinals are at a plus 43, which is very good. And like the Phillies are at a plus 44. So right in line with another team that most people would expect to be the best in baseball.
Yeah, and I think going back to the all these publications talking about the Cardinals, I've yet to see a mainstream publication put the Cardinals rank them in the top 10. And this doesn't mean a lot. It's a lot of opinion pieces and a lot of people just trying to get clicks and stuff like that. So I'm not taking it with that much. But I think that you could argue that the Cardinals are the 6th or 7th best team in baseball when you look at run differential, when you look at strength of schedule. Now that we have some games under our belt, we can actually start to talk about that stuff. I think that the Cardinals are a top 10 team. The National League is obviously like super heavy at the top with the Mets and Phillies and Dodgers and Padres. There's a lot of good teams. Cubs might be the best team in the NL, if depending on what numbers you want to look at. But I think this team is, all we can do is judge them on the games that have happened, and based on the games that have happened, they are a top 10 team in baseball, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely a ton of fun. Those rankings, I think they're kind of in line with what a lot of Cardinal fans are feeling too, which is like everyone's still, I think rightfully so. I think it's why attendance is increasing but hasn't completely come back yet, is everyone's still feeling a little on edge. Most people don't watch the games like we watch the games. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably watch the games in a way different than the casual fan. And right. If you remember going into the Cardinals were buyers at the trade deadline last year, so they were the best team in baseball in May and went into June and July on a positive note and went and traded for Eric Fetty. We're earnestly trying to improve the team before it all collapsed. So I think it's very fair for fans and publications alike to be slow to embracing this team after the front office did almost nothing to improve it. I know Maton has been good and we liked that. But the front office failed miserably for years now, and the players are lifting it up. So I understand when people are slow to support. But I think we, as people who ride the wave and are watching basically every single game, pretty bullish on this team at this point. So we'll see. They got to keep playing the games, but so far so good. You want to jump in on some of the individual stats, or what do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, it's so funny how the podcast has been working this season. We talk about a player and something happens. And we talked about Jordan Walker a couple of weeks ago. We are currently sitting in the middle of the second week in a row of Jordan Walker being a pretty good hitter. He has 150 WRC plus since we chatted about him, about his play discipline issues and everything like that.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if Walker is listening to the podcast or if Brant Brown is actually getting all of his advice that he's getting so much credit from us. I don't know what's happening, Nate, but there's something
Brant.
in the water.
There's always a seat on the pod for you, Brant. If you want to come and I will trust me when I make you play a stupid
Brant
game.
Brown on yet? That's weird.
They're all intimidated by my stupid games.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, or I guess the good news about Jordan Walker is that he has cut his swing percentage down by almost 30%. He is swinging less than half the time, 47.5% since we had that conversation. Yeah. What did I say? Stop swinging, Jordan Walker. What did he start doing? He stopped swinging so much.
Yeah.
So that's huge. And that has resulted, or that's not the only thing that's resulted in his success. He also hits the ever-loving shit out of the ball when he does swing. So he's swinging less. He's still making really hard contact. Slightly troubling news is that he hasn't walked for 2 weeks. So he's swinging less, but he's, I guess, swinging at his pitch more, but he hasn't walked since that happened. But he's hitting 344 over that time. So I mean, that would be his on-base. That would be what I want his on-base percentage to be anyways. So
yeah,
I'm kind of thinking that pitchers are maybe challenging him more. He's making slightly better decisions. And as I said, and everyone knows, when he does make contact, his BABIP is going to be high. His slug is going to be high. He just hits the ball so hard that good things are happening. Yeah. And, we'll see. This is only 2 weeks. This is like, a small amount of at-bats. This is tiny sample size, all that stuff. But
certainly better than what
good.
2 weeks of good after 4 weeks, because he started the season pretty well too. And then had basically like 4 or 5 weeks of just bad, and now we've got 2 weeks of really good. And yeah, I mean, you can see both the power and the speed on that triple that he hit, which
he looks like, I can't believe humans are built this way. When he was rounding second on that triple, it was like 3 steps. He was bounding like 3 steps to get to third base. He's so big and so fast. Like he could be a tight end in the NFL. He is.
Yeah. I mean,
he's incredible.
He's just a little bit slower than Victor Scott II, who is, one of the fastest people in baseball. So and also like a foot shorter than Jordan Walker. Also, shout out. I sure didn't have back-to-back Gorman Walker triples on my 2025 bingo card. That was quite fun.
That was also Jorge. Is it Jorge Polanco or no? Who's their guy? Their shortstop was playing center field on that Gorman.
Oh yeah,
hit.
Jorge.
I can't think of his name. Super fast guy.
Yeah. It's not Perdomo.
No.
We both just watched all 3 of these games. I can't remember.
It's not. What was his name? Mateo.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Cedric Mullins probably would have caught that ball, and that inning would have gone a lot different. But he wasn't out there. It was Mateo, and it didn't. So, love to see it, folks.
Yeah, it was a home run Arenado, triple Gorman, triple Walker. Quite a little power display. I kind of thought the Walker one was gone, but he just hit it right over their heads. Complete sidebar. Did you happen to see the O'Neill Cruz 122 mile per hour home run?
Oh my God. They need to start putting fences in the outfield for fans in Pittsburgh, because that thing, that ball like defied the laws of physics. It did not, like the path did not make sense to my brain.
I was watching that game because if I see O'Neill Cruz is up to bat, I pull it up real quick on MLB TV because I just like watching his at bats a ton, and I could not believe. I mean, it's absolutely insane. 122 mile per hour exit velocity, hardest hit ball in Statcast history. So it's it's crazy.
Only by a few, like 0.4 miles per hour or something like that, but it looked every bit of it. It was incredible.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Miles Mikolas a little bit. So, what a weird season this has been. And I don't want to pour water on an incredible string of results.
I'll pour a little water on it.
But I think we're going to pour a little water on it. So I'll let you go off, King, here. What do you got for me?
And I want to shout out Katie Wu, who I think is a great writer and covers the Cardinals really well. And she had an article that came out this week, 7 trends to watch as Cardinals soar, season best 7 games over 500. And she was talking about Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado's defense, even Herrera, Liberatore. She's talking about all these things, and I'm totally on board. I think all these things are real. Mm-hmm. And then she said Miles Mikolas making a turnaround. And obviously that one kind of caught my eye because is this a turnaround? I think is a fair question. Like you have to look into this. What is happening? Is he doing something different? Or is he not? It is rare for a pitcher of Miles Mikolas's age and repertoire and everything to figure it out all of a sudden, especially midseason
and dominate, dominate. He's doing so well. It's not like with a ton of strikeouts. He's dominating is maybe too strong of a word because when you think of that from a pitcher, you think of someone who's going out there and striking out everybody and having this crazy presence. But his results have been incredible and have been a key part of this run.
So I wanted to look into it a little bit, and as I was kind of poring over these numbers, he has said that he has been throwing out of the zone a little bit more than he had previously. So I was like, okay, great. Is he making people swing and miss out of the zone more than he used to? And I was only looking at games post the Boston blow up. Let's just look at his good games. Or since he has quote unquote turned this around or made the turnaround or whatever. Is he making people swing and miss at pitches out of the zone? No, he actually, on his out of zone pitches, he actually has one of the highest contact percentages in baseball. Okay, if that's happening, when they're swinging out of the zone and they're making that contact, are they hitting the ball weakly? No. He is giving up 44% hard contact. That puts him in the bottom 20 in all of starting pitchers in baseball. So he's getting crushed. Is something different happening in the zone? No. He's getting hit in the zone. People are swinging at him in the zone almost as much as any other pitcher. Actually, funny enough, the pitcher who was leading the league in zone swing percentage is Sugano, who the Cardinals were able to beat up a little bit with the Orioles the other day. And if you watch that guy pitch, it kind of makes sense. He's kind of throwing some salad up there, and the Cardinals were having fun with that. But So over this time frame, Miles Mikolas has a 1.64 ERA. No one can argue that is absolutely sterling. That is all-star caliber, incredible stuff, especially over this many starts. His expected fielding independent pitching, meaning I think we all know what FIP is, right? It's what we expect to happen, what the results we expect if fielding was league average across the board. And his expected FIP is 5.04.
It's a very big gulf.
Have you seen, I don't know if I've ever seen a gulf that big. We're talking almost 4 runs of difference in between his ERA and his expected results.
The only time you normally see that is in small sample sizes, and it's like, oh man, their ERA is 7 and it should be 12 or something like that. You don't normally see such suppressed down at the lower numbers.
And I'm sure somebody out there is like, well, Ben, you've said it. You guys have talked about this for weeks. The Cardinals defense is really good. No defense is that good to save you from almost 4 runs of difference. So I'm very happy that this has been working out for Miles Mikolas. I think it's going to stop working. He's giving up barrels at a very high rate. He's giving up hard contact at a very hard rate. It is very likely a matter of time until this breaks. But for right now, it's really fun. I hope he can keep it up. But I do, in my little tiny black heart, I do believe this is sheer luck.
Well, it's always been his thing, right? Is he just sort of throws it up there, they hit it, and you hope someone catches it, right? Like he's never striking people out. And his results are usually one or the other, a pretty good start, or he gets absolutely blasted. And that is basically the variance of luck and where the ball lands. And he has had quite a run of very good luck of where that ball has landed, which is in the glove of our very elite defense. So, if that FIP was around like a 4 or even like a 3.5, you'd be like, all right, he's pitching really well and he's getting some luck. The 5 really starts to show like he's really not pitching any better than he normally does. He's just getting very lucky, which we'll certainly take. And hopefully you kind of like with a guy like that, you do kind of hope the blowups happen like Boston, where it's just like, all right, this one game and all the bad luck, all the variance, swings back. He gives up 9 runs. The game's over. His ERA balloons up to 3.8. And you say, like, all right, there you go. There's there it is. But he won us like 9 games in between those 2 blowups, whereas normally it's kind of like an every 2 or 3 sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it can keep happening. And maybe he'll keep adjusting, Nate, although it's hard to find the exact adjustments that he's making. But
yeah.
Like I said, when you look at hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, launch angle, his expected stats, his fastball velocity is down this year. His walks are up this year. His strikeout rate is down this year. There's a very, this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier in the show. There's a very clear path for improvement. And I don't think the Cardinals will make an improvement until they have to, because you'd be crazy. The guy's got a 1.64 ERA over his last 6-7 starts. But we got a McGreevy sitting around there. Yeah. We got a Steven Matz who has only been great. And I just think that this is going to be a problem. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm throwing water on it, I guess. I'm putting out the fire.
Yeah. Generally, I would like to see another starter being stretched out and more readily available. I mean, I know we've got options at minor league level as well, but between that and Fetty, who's had his ups and downs, and Sonny Gray, he's fine, but he's also older. Like there's going to be a need for another starting pitcher soon, and I'm curious which direction they go in. Yeah. Well, let's end on another sort of rostery discussion here, but I think a positive one. Let's talk about Pedro Pages. How you feeling about Pages?
Pages, his hitting has been fine and dandy, right? I don't think he's not absolutely smashing the cover off the ball, but he hasn't been, I don't think, a massive problem to this point. What is very exciting is that he has been defensively, according to whatever metrics you want to look at, one of the best catchers in baseball. And I know, Nate, you like to characterize these guys as tricking old men or however you feel about this. But according to his... Sorry?
A key part of the modern game is who can trick these old men the best.
Of course. According to... this is how you play the game, Nate. So this is how it is for this very short window until it's all killed and over and robots take over and we just play roto ball in real life, which I know you can't wait for. You can't argue that Pedro has been really, really good defensively. I think that obviously people like him. People like working with him. He's got a pretty good arm. He's got really good framing numbers. And then all the other kind of squishy defensive metrics are really liking what he's doing. He's actually doubled his defensive WAR, the Fangraphs stat from last year, more than doubled his defensive Fangraphs, his defensive WAR according to Fangraphs from last year. Last game he was played in 68 games. This year he's only played in 39. So he's either taken a step forward or just gotten more comfortable or whatever it is. So this is all really good news, right? We want a really good defensive catcher. The rostery crunch part of it is I think that this all means, or the way that I'm feeling is that I think this means it's time to move on from Pozo and go back to a normal 2.5 catcher on the roster type organization for the 26 man. And I think you have Pedro catch, 4 or 5 days a week. Ivan Herrera can come in and spot catch when he's not DHing. And I think you have a really good rotation there. You're leaning on defense, which is clearly the strength of this team, keeping Ivan healthy. And I think Pozo just doesn't make sense anymore. The contact first and everything is fun, but I would rather have, like 6 different guys on this roster. Maybe even a Lucan Baker, perhaps, backup or somebody
Never heard of him.
Might make sense.
Yeah, counterpoint, that's not enough catchers on this team. You got to have 3 or 4.
Okay.
So I do worry about that. But yeah, the question to me still comes down to is what is Herrera's ability to catch on a consistent basis? Because that obviously sort of solves it for you in some degree. I imagine the Cardinals feel the same way, that this is not it is not an ideal setup to have like a backup catcher as part of your regular roster. But I imagine that they're uncomfortable with having Herrera catch like multiple days in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
And it also comes down to, is the team hitting? Like, we've been very happy with the offense, but there are some slumps in there. A lot of this offense has been carried by 3 or 4 guys over the last few weeks, Herrera being one of them and Page's not being one of them. So if you do start to see more broad offensive slumps or more injuries starting to creep up a little bit, we've seen Donnie miss a game, we're seeing Contreras miss games. If you need to go in your offense first lineup, Herrera at catcher is like your secret weapon, right? So I think this is going to probably ebb and flow all season based off of who's clicking, who's not, and what Herrera can do on a day-to-day basis. But I think you're right. Probably the optimal lineup right now is the Pages at catcher, Herrera at DH, and in case of an injury, he slides over to finish the game at catcher, and then next day you make the roster call up of Pozo or whatever, or whoever it may be. In September maybe it's a Crooks or something like that. But a side note on catching depth. I want to do a little segment on like the farm system here pretty soon. But if you're not looking at what I believe it's pronounced Rainiel Rodriguez is doing in rookie ball, he is a Cardinals catching prospect who is absolutely destroying for his age at that level. And I was reading the other day that some people are calling it the rookie ball breakout. So here we go. We got another guy. Now he's 18. Is he a catcher long term, or does he hit so well they move him off earlier? I don't know. But he is currently a catcher, and he's currently crushing at the minor league. So suddenly the depth continues.
Leonardo Bernal, also having a really great start to his AA season. He's hitting a bunch. He's even stealing some bases. He's walking a bunch. We've talked about Jimmy Crooks before. Cardinals are flush with catchers. It's really
Get them
funny.
all up here. Get them all up here. We need more of them.
Yeah. More catchers all of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just to kind of put a button on that, I'd love to see a Baker, a Fermin, a Sajaci. I think any of those guys make more sense on this roster over our third catcher. But I think you're probably right. It's probably a matter of time, and it's probably a matter of like maybe they want to see Ivan Herrera catch back-to-back days and his knee be fine or something like that. But I think it's coming very soon.
Yeah. He's so good offensively. Let's not risk time away and just let him hit. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for our coverage of this last week of Cardinal news and results. But we're going to talk about the upcoming series and some league news and play a little game. But before we do, of course, Hambone, we got to remind our listeners that this show is listener supported on Patreon. If you enjoy the show and want
I enjoy the show.
I enjoy the show.
Oh, actually, it's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
We both walked that back immediately. We have a series of tiers on Patreon that you may be interested in. They have various things you can get from them, from free shirts to early episodes to access to our private Discord server, the Bird Scored. If you won't do it for us, do it for the adorable cat that Hamvone just hugged on camera. Edie is quite lovely. And patreon.com/talking about birds. Shout out to our patrons. We really appreciate everybody, and we appreciate you out there if you're considering joining. You could also leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. That certainly helps. And of course, word of mouth is still the way most podcasts spread. So when you're talking about Cardinals, when you're talking about with the family or friends or whatever, and they're asking you because they know you're the Cardinal person in your family, what's going on with these Cardinals? It's a great time to just slip in a little plug. Just Just slide it in there.
Consent is important, Nate.
Just slip it in there.
Stop this.
Hambo, where else can people find us online?
Check us out on all the socials. We're on Blue Sky. You can skeet at us on Blue Sky. That's right. You can skeet at us on Blue Sky. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. You can listen to the show and like it and review it and share it on Spotify as well. If you want to look at video of us and see my little gray cat Edie, this show is available on YouTube, the audio and the full video podcast. You can watch this podcast if you want to, if you're a sick freak like that. You can get all of the podcast information. You can buy one of our t-shirts, all that kind of crap over at talkingaboutbirds.com. And of course,
all this other bullshit you can find.
You can email us directly at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. If you would like to call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message, you can send that message to 848-48-BIRDS. That is 848-482-4737.
That's right, 848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambo, we got a couple series coming up, as you might expect. The Cardinals are heading down to Texas. Wow. They're going to play 3 against the Rangers, and then the Royals complete the other half of the I-70 series, coming to Busch 4-3.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Rangers. We have not played the Rangers this year. Kind of fun.
We have not. No, and they're kind of a funny team right now, right? They're, I think, a team that a lot of people had some pretty high expectations for coming into the season. They are currently below 500, and their offense hasn't really started to kick into full gear yet. They have, Wyatt Langford, who I think is poised to be one of the better players in baseball really soon. I think a lot of Josh Young, their young third baseman as well. And we know Adolis. We know I think we know some of their other kind of veteran players.
Corey Seager activated today, which he's probably their best hitter. So he's kind of doing what Corey Seager does is he mashes when he's playing, and he's on the IL about half the time, it feels like. So
he's back. He was back for about a week before he went down with that hamstring. Yeah. And I think just today we learned that Jack Peterson is going down with a broken hand. So not at full strength, which I suppose is good news for the Cardinals. And their pitching has been pretty good. So the Cardinals are going to face Jack Leiter, Patrick Corbin. I'm sure we all remember Patrick Corbin. And then they draw Cardinals. They draw Jacob deGrom on Sunday.
We wish Cardinals Jacob deGrom.
That would be great. deGrom has been really good. Jack Leiter, I think, is going to be good. I believe in Jack Leiter, and I think Patrick Corbin is pretty bad, although he's not having the worst year. He's having a better year than he's had with the Nationals in a long time. Yes. So who knows?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Also, you failed to mention, I would say patron saint of the show in some degree, Jake Berger.
Jake Berger.
Jake
Berger, he's good, right? Like,
yeah, he is. He's Missouri guy.
He's a good
too,
player. Yeah.
So. He struggled to start the year. They did send him down briefly, but he's back and he seems to be hitting pretty well. I thought this was a pretty brilliant ad for them this offseason. They went and traded for him. Hasn't fully worked out just yet. I'm not the biggest Jake Berger fan in like a broader sense as far as like overall placement in the league, but I do think he's pretty good at hitting dingers. And with that ballpark and that lineup, he should be pretty effective for them. I thought it was a really good ad, the right kind of player that team needed. They just haven't clicked. They've had so many injuries, ups and downs, guys that are normally good not being good. It's just been a rough start for that team. So hopefully the Cardinals can continue to capitalize. And it'll be fun to see Jacob deGrom, maybe the best pitcher of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. He's somehow still mowing guys down, only throwing 98 miles per hour. So I don't know how he does it. Poor guy.
I know, with soft, weak pitches like that. Yeah, he came in. He's saying, I'm gonna try to throw softer and last longer in the season, and he's still pitching. And he's getting pretty good results. So
yes.
So yeah, should be hopefully a successful series for the Cardinals. But this team has some talent, and don't be surprised. if there's suddenly a game where they put up 8 or 9. Is Mikolas pitching against them? No, he is not. It's Liberatore, Gray, and Fetty. Yeah. So I think Liberatore probably matches up pretty well against them. So
yeah, I think he's matching up against everybody right now.
Everybody,
so, yeah,
sure.
Give me more Liberatore.
Yeah. All right. After that, team we just saw, the Royals come to St. Louis. If you look at the standings, we just talked about them, so I don't think we need to go too deep into it. But they're in like third or fourth place, but they're actually above 500, and the AL Central is just kind of crushing right now. So they're a pretty good team, and they are led by top 3 baseball player Bobby Witt, so they can win. At home should be a good series. I expect the Cardinals to play well against them, but they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, Pasquantino's kind of kept his heater going. Salvador Perez has been pretty hot recently. Bobby Witt, like you said, is maybe one of the best, if not the best baseball player around right now. And it looks like the Cardinals are going to face, who does it look like? I think we're going to have Noah Cameron, probably Michael Wacha, and Chris Bubich. So that's not the easiest, but it's one of those guys the Cardinals beat very recently. But Bubich is really having a special year. But we know this team. They are good, but I think the Cardinals match up against them well. And I expect this to be a pretty productive week again.
Yeah, it does look like. So I think you might have been looking at their next series. I see Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, and Michael Wacha.
Oh, I thought Cole Reagan's is Reagan's coming back already?
Well, I don't know. I'm just looking at the projected here on roster resource. So I guess we'll see. But I know he's been hurt, but maybe they're projecting him to come back for that start. I haven't followed him.
That would be too bad for the Cardinals, but we'll see.
Yeah, sometimes like right off the IL, that's the chance to
go get him. Yeah,
that's the chance to go get him. Go get him, boys.
Okay.
That's what we say here on Talking About Birds.
You can tell how naturally it came out of Nate's mouth. We say it all the time. That's the next T-shirt.
Go get them, boys.
Dumbass.
What were we trying to say? Ours was a couple. Stay safe. Wasn't that our?
Stay safe. Were we saying that?
Our new motto is stay safe.
I don't remember that.
I think it sticks. I think it works.
It's good. It's smart.
Yeah.
It's good advice.
Stay safe out there, everyone. All right. Let's hit some league news. What do you got for us?
Yeah, not too much going on, but some player news. It's fun. The Cubs and Genesis Cabrera agree to a deal. So that's kind of little Cardinals, little Cubbies. See how that goes. Mm-hmm. The Cubs also announced that Miguel Amaya is their starting catcher, is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique strain. So, the Cubs keep taking these hits. Justin Steele goes down, Amaya goes down. The Cardinals are in a few weeks here are going to start playing the Cubbies finally. We'll see. We'll see where the Cubs are at. I will tell you this, Nate, and I know you don't want to hear this because I know you're a big fan of this guy. And I think Pete Crow Armstrong is having a really, really great start to the year. I think he is going to have a really aggressive adjustment to baseball here very soon. Just kind of looking at some of his underlying offensive numbers, how much he's walking. I think something's going to happen, but can't take away. He's really, really good. I just don't think he's this good.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, even a regression would probably still keep him in a pretty high-end territory. He's been one of the best players in baseball this year. But hey, I'm here for it. Regress away, please. Matt Shaw though has over 900 OPS since his recall, so he's doing pretty well.
He walked off my Rockies this week too. I didn't like that. But yeah, Matt Shaw might be good. It's almost like he was one of the best prospects in baseball.
Yeah, poor Rockies.
Yeah. Ronald Acuna is back and hit a homer in his first AB, Nathan.
How fun is that? Who doesn't love Ronald Acuna? Ronald Acuna. If you don't like Ronald Acuna, what do you then you just don't like baseball. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's the kind of
guy. Wow, you're really putting people to task today, Nathan.
Yeah. We'll see if what version of Acuna we get. His second ACL surgery. Last time he came back from one, his return year was okay, and then his next year was one of the best seasons in baseball history, arguably.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 ACLs. He's 27 now. That's obviously like prime years for a baseball player, but he's played a lot and he's been injured multiple times. So is he going to run as much, or is he just going to sort of crush and not worry about running? I don't know, but he's good. And the Braves are right around 500. There's plenty of baseball left. And it's as good as making a trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. So we'll see. But that lineup,
I just wanted to be healthy.
Yeah. That lineup looks considerably more dangerous. And when you have Acuna back, and Matt Olson has been crushing again. So I think the Braves might go on a run here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I haven't actually followed up to see if there's been an update on it, but Spencer Strider hit Bryce Harper in the elbow in a game last night.
So contusion, there is no breaking of bones or anything like that. So he's sore, but sounds like he'll be back soon.
Yeah, the thigh guy hit him right in the elbow.
Yeah, he did. Ouch. That guy throws hard too.
Yeah, he do be doing that.
Speaking of guys that throw hard, Tarek Skubal threw a Maddox earlier this week. I think he did it in 94 pitches, complete game. And I don't know if you saw this, Nate, but his final pitch was an inside fastball clocked at 103 miles per hour. Maybe the most dominant pitching performance I can remember in I don't know, since Roy Halladay or something. Who can do this?
He good. Yeah, it's like I'd say it's like maybe Verlander over sometime in the last few years.
He's kind of Verlander, like a lefty Verlander.
Yeah, that was kind of his thing, where it's like he's ending the game throwing harder than he started, which always just seems impossible. I don't know why the Cardinals didn't trade, scraps for him like 3 years ago, like you were calling for.
I know you're poking fun, but I still think they could have made a trade when he was going through his injury. He has got a higher strikeout rate, a lower walk rate, a higher fastball velocity. He's better than last year.
Yeah.
He's really good.
I think it's just he's the best pitcher in baseball.
I think he has. Yeah, I would love to hear the arguments for other players, but I think he's the best pitcher in baseball. I agree.
Who do you even like right now? Who do you even? Crochet has been great, but
Crochet. I think Zach Wheeler is always under discussed, and he does just for how long he's been so good. I think he deserves to be part of the conversation. Skeens can be part of that conversation too.
That's fair. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's certainly, and Skeens might be the one that I would pick over Skubal if I had to from a pure stuff spot perspective. But like Skubal's been doing it for a couple years at this level, and you just have more confidence in that. So I don't know if you were picking one pitcher, if you game on the line, that whole trope, it'd be hard to pick anyone other than Skubal right now.
I would go with Skubal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is, he's a nasty man, Nathan.
Y'all nasty.
All right, getting away. All right, now this is nasty too. The Rockies matched an MLB record by losing their 21st consecutive series. That series loss is dating back to last year. I see no end in sight. I think they will shatter this record. It's gonna keep going the way it's going. Since they fired Bud Black, they have only won 2 games. They did beat the Yankees, which was kind of fun for people that live out here, but it's just been a slaughter.
Do you think when Bud Black got fired, he said, "Oh, thank God"?
I mean, he's an elderly man. He's got money, probably. Like, just go chill, dude. Go play golf.
Yeah. I just can't get over the fact that this record stood for so long, and then now we might have back-to-back years of the worst team in baseball history.
Well, I think, it speaks to the haves and have-nots that I think exist in baseball right now. I also think this is what happens, like, when a team has just categorically ignored the advanced methodologies that the 29 other teams, when that happens for 10, 12, 15 years, however long you want to say it's been going, this is the end state of it. And I think... I see no end in sight. It is just they are in such a bad spot.
Yeah, you just fall further and further behind on the on the edges and edges and edges, and then all of a sudden, not even all of a sudden, you just end up here. White Sox, you could almost argue last year was like a crazy set of variants that just went horribly because they had some really good individual performances during that year. They had some breakouts. There were some guys you could look at and be like, all right, that was still a pretty good year for them. The Rockies, there just seems to be no positive outcome from this. I mean, there's a few guys that are, Doyle might be turning it around a little bit. Tovar is back and hitting pretty well, but like, man, I don't know. Now Dolander's hurt, like the one guy that you're like, oh, maybe we got one. So it's rough. It's rough out there.
It is really bad. I will say Jordan Beck has been fun if you were looking for a bright spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just a really bad team. And, I'll say this, I probably said this exact sentence before, but when you bring in Nick Martini at 35 years old to be the guy that come in and kind of establish your offense, like this is what you get. This is a bad team, run poorly. This is what you deserve. Not the players don't deserve this. The team as a whole deserves this.
Yeah. Well, they still got Dinger and they're still selling to huge crowds. So there seems to be no incentive to improve the team. So
that is true. Yeah, I have no comeback statement for that. That is true.
Yeah. Cool team. I like the purple. It's a good color.
Purple is good. I like our new City Connects. I don't know if you've seen those, but those are good. All right. That's all I got for league news, Nate.
All right. We're going to wrap this up, Hambone, with a classic game. Would you rather? Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking about, it was last week we were talking about like how hard you could swing a bat. And so I started thinking about like, well, if I was like a major league player, like, I think this is just kind of fun couch, like, what would you rather do if you were a major league player?
Okay.
So I got a list of them, just a handful. All right. Would you rather throw a perfect game or win World Series MVP?
Wow. Now, if you win a perfect game, you are in the history of baseball forever because there's been so few. If you win World Series MVP, that means that you also won the World Series, which means
it's like you win. I tried to think of like pinnacle of achievement sort of things here, right? Yeah. And this, to me, this is pure individual outcome or individual outcome layered into the main goal of the entire sport.
Yeah. I think that I would have to go with the World Series MVP because of the World Series winning nature of that. Yeah. And even some of the best players to ever play have never done that. So
yeah,
a perfect game is amazing. There's also like some luck involved with a perfect game, I believe. You can be dominant, but like Tarek Skubal just had arguably one of the best performances of all time and didn't have a perfect game. Like, I think that there's a luck factor.
It's not a long list, but the list of perfect game throwers is full of guys you've never heard of before.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'd go World Series MVP.
Yeah, I think so too. I was really leaning when I first wrote this. I thought, well, I'd probably do perfect game because that's just gotta like the individual nature of it and just that feeling of like doing a thing that was only happened, I think, 27 times. Yeah, but the full ride of winning an MVP and being arguably the most valuable person in that moment of winning it, I think is probably
24 perfect games.
24. Okay. World Series MVP, I think probably. And you're still going to get a lot, like you're forever with that team. Like, you know, like Eckstein is still look at a guy. Yeah.
Would you rather be David Freese or Domingo Germán? I would rather be David Freese.
Yeah. Okay. Hit a walk-off home run or rob a game-winning home run.
That one's easy for me. Rob a game-winning home run. I think that the home run robbery might be my favorite play in baseball. It is. There's nothing more fun than the emotional swing of that guy thinks he hit one and you took it away, especially when it is a full over the fence. There was no doubt that was going to be a homer. I would do that all day.
Yeah, I think you're right. It almost feels more a harder thing to do too. Like people hit home runs all the time, but like robbing a home run. So, okay. Yeah, I think so too. All right. Swing a bat 85 miles per hour, which is the fastest individual I could find.
Okay.
It's right around there. Giancarlo had like an 85.1 or 0.3 or something like that. So swing a bat 85 miles per hour or throw a pitch 103 miles per hour.
I think you're just applying this to me, right?
Yeah, this is you, Ben. What would you rather do?
I would rather throw 103 because I think if Ben Samorka, as I'm built right now, could throw 103, I think I would be a Major League Baseball player.
Well, sure.
Yeah. There's no way you could give me all the tools in the world and I would never be able to hit a baseball, even if you give me all the bat speed in the world. So I think that like I could be the Rockies' 7th inning guy if I could throw 103, you know?
Carrying like a ERA of like a 6.8, and they're like, well, he's still one of our best.
He's healthy, yeah.
Yeah, I do think it would be more. I get what you're going for from a like, what's the most applicable skill standpoint, but I think from maybe just a pure satisfying physical thing too. I think probably throwing something 103 miles per hour is more just like, fuck yeah. But swinging a bat 85 miles per hour, like has got to, like, if you just did that, you're just like in your living room. It's like you knock over like all the paintings off the wall from just the.
You could really put it on a show at your softball league.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, I got 2 more for you, Hambone. Would you rather execute an unassisted triple play?
Oh, God. I thought you were going to say Dinger of Redbird or something like that.
Give me a minute. Execute an unassisted triple play or hit for a natural cycle. Now, interestingly, these have both, at least according to the research I could find, have both happened 15 times in Major League Baseball history. Unassisted triple play or natural cycle. If you don't know what that is, it means hit single, double, triple, home run in that order.
Yeah. I think I would go for the unassisted triple play just because, like, I think cycles are fun, but, like, 4 home runs is better than a cycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like an unassisted triple play is, like, the best thing you could do on defense.
Single best outcome from a defensive player is an unassisted triple play.
Going 4 for 4 with 4 home runs is better than a natural cycle or any cycle. So I think the cycle is slightly overrated. So I would go with unassisted triple play.
It makes sense. The sort of balance of these two is that it's essentially all luck, right? You're putting your best swing out, and also it is unassisted triple play. You're just standing in the right spot when the ball gets hit right at you. And, you really probably did, other than the game awareness, it's really just a happenstance that it happened to you versus someone else. Whereas like a natural cycle, it's a happenstance. Yeah. It's a happenstance on a natural cycle that they win in that order. And you executed the hit, which is more challenging than the play. But yeah, I have to imagine an unassisted triple play is just a whirlwind of extreme feelings of,
panic.
Yeah. Mostly panic. All right. Last one for you, Hambone. Now you're a Major League Baseball player.
Hell yeah.
Would you rather be traded to the Colorado Rockies or be strangled to death with your own intestines? It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Are they're being taken out of me and then I'm being strangled with them? So I'm living through that whole thing?
It's like an evisceration sort of situation, and then they're pulled out. And
who's strangling me?
Dinger.
Okay, in that case, I would rather be a Colorado Rocky. I don't want my hero to rip my guts out and kill me.
The last thing you see is that head spinning in a.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't need that in my life. That's not how I'm going out.
I'm probably taking the execution. All right. I can't have that on my MLB trade or on my baseball reference.
That's smart.
All right, Hambone, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you all again for sticking with us, for listening. Again, tell your friends, tell your family. Talkingaboutbirds.com for all the links to the social and Patreon and everything. I don't know. Maybe we got a fun season in front of us, Hambone. I'm excited. Hopefully you all out there are excited and at least having fun while watching and listening to this. So hopefully the Cardinals have a good game against the Orioles tonight and then a good couple series. And we'll be back next week, as always. And until then, go Cardinals.
Go Birds.